Hey, I'm Brooke Halliday, licensed professional clinical counselor and your host of Coloring Outside the Lines. I believe that we are the byproducts of our experiences and the environments in which we were raised, and most of us have earned a few scars from those things over the years. I've been making it my mission to help people learn to accept themselves and have compassion for everything that they've survived. Through deep and vulnerable conversations with some amazing women, you're going to hear about major moments in their life when they chose to color outside the lines and demonstrate firsthand just how capable we all are. So get ready to be inspired as we color outside the lines and make something beautiful. So this week's guest might be the guest I've known the longest for season 1. This week, Taylor, who I have known since I was in middle school, is coming on to talk about sexuality. Taylor and I didn't start off as friends, I would say, but we grew to be best friends in high school. Taylor and I played volleyball together, and she was a stellar outside hitter. I always loved playing with her. She's currently a volleyball coach right now, and those girls are super lucky to have her. After high school, Taylor joined the Navy and went off. We had some separation between us, and over the last couple of years have reconnected again, gotten involved in each other's lives, and Taylor recently got married to her sweet husband and then decided to share her recent journey with her sexuality on this podcast. So listen in as two old friends reconnect and have a good conversation.
I think I started questioning things probably in high school.
Okay.
But not to the extent that I was just like, oh, I don't know, maybe not.
So in high school, when you were maybe starting to have some questions, what are the thoughts that one experiences?
I guess more just I felt like I was definitely mostly attracted to men, but I would just find myself being like, oh, this girl or this lady is she's attractive, and is that normal just to think that someone is attractive and not have that thought go somewhere else, or is it maybe something more I should keep exploring kind of a thing? And I guess I don't think that I ever did that more of a deep dive or exploring until later on in life. I just was kind of like, oh, I guess maybe it's just normal.
Did it feel we grew up in St. Cloud, which is a bigger city, and I know we had a mixed bag of characters that we went to school with. And so I guess I'm curious, do you feel like that would have been a safe thing to explore in the setting that we were in back in we would have been early 2000s, mid 2000s?
I guess probably not. I think that it felt like if I were to have explored it, I would have been heavily judged. I don't feel like I had a ton of super close friends. I feel like I had a couple of really close friends and then a bunch of random people that were I was okay with kind of a thing. And so I think I just would have I felt like I would have lost a lot of that, I guess, is my thought process.
Yeah, because junior, senior year, it was kind of you and I feel like we just kind of floated around. Thinking about it, I'm like, did we have a group? Were we the weird kids? I don't even we played sports and we talked to guys and had plans, went to party. What were we the weird ones? I don't know.
No, I feel that. I definitely feel that.
You and I both dated, and then at the end of high school, I went to college. You went into the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get to that decision?
That was a decision that was made because I thought I wanted to go to culinary school, but that was very expensive and I didn't feel set on that. And then I was trying to find a way to make my dad proud of me because I felt like he wasn't. It was just the Army called me one day and wanted to talk to me about joining. And then I was like, this could actually be a good idea.
Okay, I have to pause and ask.
Yeah.
Do you feel like they preyed on you a little bit as a teenager who didn't really know what you were doing, who was looking for a way to make their parents proud, to have this adult reach out to you and say hey, here's this way to make a ton of money and do good for your country? Do you feel like they preyed on you a little bit?
Maybe a little. I guess I don't know how their calling system things work. Is it like you turn 18 and they get this list of people who are seniors and they just call them and they're
I
like,
never got a
hey,
call. I have never gotten a call.
oh, well, I don't know what happened. So maybe, I don't know. I think I just attributed it to like, they're like, hey, you're 18, come join the service. And I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Did you have any hesitations about joining the service? It's primarily male dominated still to today. That would be intimidating for me, I guess. How was that for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a little intimidating. It's a lot of like you just assume you're gonna go and fight in a war the whole time. So like that was a little nerve-wracking. That's kind of why I chose the Navy because it felt less you're not going to go out in a field and fight with people. So I felt like it was a safer choice. But I guess I didn't think a whole lot about how like male dominated it was. It was just kind of like, oh, this will be fun. Like I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Like I don't know.
It'll be fun. It's literally fun in the military.
Yeah.
Can't imagine a sentence where the two of those go together.
Yeah, but you're 18 and you're leaving home and like that sounds great.
How was your experience in the Navy?
Overall, it's an experience I would do again. I don't know. I'm glad I got out after 4 years. I
Okay.
definitely don't. I don't think it was something that I obviously could have made a career out of. Overall, it was a really good experience, I guess. There was just a couple, probably more considered like sexual harassment type of scenarios that you just think like, oh, you're friends with all these people and like nobody would ever do anything or like, I don't know, do something that would like hurt you. So like that aspect was obviously not great. And that I only had like one experience with that. That was just really crappy. But overall, I think it was a really good experience and I liked the people I met while I was there for the most part.
What did you do when you got out after 4 years? So you would have been like 22-ish?
It took a year just like figuring things out. And then I started taking college classes at St. Cloud Tech College, trying to figure out where I wanted to go or like what avenue I wanted to go down. And then I went to college at St. Cloud State for athletic training, did that schooling, finished that up in 2019. Just didn't pass my boards a few times and I wasn't willing to continue to pay the money. I just was like, maybe it wasn't for me. Maybe it was a bad choice.
So what are your friendship and romantic relationships looking like when you get back from the Navy?
Honestly, didn't feel like I had a whole lot of friends. That was interesting going into the Navy. Like there were people that were like, yeah, I'm going to write you and we'll talk all the time and all that stuff. And like none of that happened. Like none of those people really ever wrote or anything. And so coming back, it was like I just had the Navy people that I just left who were going on deployment. So like I couldn't talk to them really either. So friendship wise, I didn't feel like I had a whole lot coming back. It was a lot of staying at home with my parents and just like doing whatever. Romantically, I came back not in a relationship with anybody,
Did you date
but
anybody while you were in?
yeah, I had a couple like longer term type relationships, but both of those longer term ones were male relationships and like felt like they were going to go good places and just ended up not being right fit, obviously.
For you, for them, mutually decided?
I mean, at the time it felt more like for them, but once I had the chance to like really reflect on the relationships, it was definitely something that it wouldn't have worked out for me. Like it was a good choice that we weren't together. But that obviously takes a little bit longer to process and to
Right.
realize that stuff. So yeah, I would say mutually.
So coming home feeling like you don't have people spending time at home with your parents, what does that do for somebody mentally?
Pretty isolating. I mean, I'm definitely grateful for the relationship that I have with my parents and how much I enjoy spending time with them outside of, like holidays and whatever. Just being able to be like, hey, let's go grab a drink or grab dinner and, being an enjoyable time. Because I know a lot of people probably don't have that. It's hard when you're 22 and you're like, I'm pretty much just hanging out with my parents all the time. Like, this is when I should be like doing wild things. So
How did you get back out there to start dating? How did you start exploring your sexuality? How did that whole journey start to unfold?
I started on dating apps, but I never put that I was interested in both like male and female. I just still was like, nope, I'll just keep like it's men for me.
Did you
But
consider putting both?
I considered it. I just never, I think it was just the fear of like, I don't know what would happen, or I don't know if I didn't feel like I was truly able to be like, yes, I'm bisexual. And I don't know. I feel like I would have been questioned, and then I would have been like, oh, maybe I'm not. I don't know. Like maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, I guess is
Right.
where that came from. Yeah, I mainly just started on dating apps. Like nothing ever really came from them. It was like maybe we'd meet, but I don't think I ever actually ended up meeting anybody like that I would have connected with. I don't think I ever met up with anyone. So then it was just a matter of like some of those friends that I did have around, just putting myself out there as far as like, yeah, going out to the bars and I don't know, seeing what was out there.
Right.
But I never actually really dated anybody, I don't think. So just having a good time.
Sometimes that's better than dating.
Right.
So I know you're married now. How did you meet your husband?
Mutual friends. It would
Okay.
really depend on who you would ask because
Okay.
apparently we met while we were both home on leave, and we were on a
Oh,
party bus together.
I didn't know he was in the service.
Yeah, he was in the army. So yeah, we met while we were home on leave and on a party bus. Apparently he was trying to buy me drinks and I just wasn't giving him the time of day on the party bus. I actually don't remember the interaction, so that's good. But then when we were both out, we just met at like a mutual friend's wedding. Ended up like hanging out a little bit and flirting a little bit, and then just blossomed into something beautiful.
Do you guys have the fight about which branch of the military is better?
No, not really. We
Did
don't.
he just do his
Yeah,
4 years and get out?
he did a little longer. He ended up getting out due to like medical type reasons. So
Got it.
both very happy to be out.
It's usually what I hear from most people, to be totally honest.
It's something.
Okay, so you've only dated men. Where does the
Correct.
questioning come in? Where are the thoughts? Where is bisexuality? Is that how you're identifying as bisexual?
Yes. I think I just like the more that I have grown up and thought about it, I don't know. I just think that, like, yes, I do think it's normal for people to be able to be like, yes, this person is attractive, no matter what they're like identify as. I think that I've always been more curious about, like, what if I ever was with a woman, or like, what would that be like? I just think I obviously don't have the physical aspect to go off of, but I just think that it's more than just, oh, I find women attractive. And of course, my thought even coming into this was like, if people hear this, are they going to be like, she's not really bisexual because she's never physically been with a woman, she's never even dated a woman, like any of that? But it's more about like, just it's what I know, and it's like
Right.
what I'm going through, my body, my thoughts, all of that. And like, I've just had to learn that like, that's okay. And that's enough. Like me knowing myself and what I've been exploring, like, is enough for me to be like, yes, I am bisexual. And that's okay that I haven't been with anybody physically. But it's just a lot of like, I think it's just a lot of like self processing and like thinking through different things. I guess I don't for sure how to describe it.
I guess I'm wondering, like, the thoughts of, well, she's never been with a woman or she's never dated a woman. How could she know? Like, do those thoughts come from somewhere?
Maybe just like not ever, as a younger kid, I never felt like I was fully believed based on anything that I would say. You know, it was always like, oh, but why? Like, why are you saying that? And like, is that true, or are you just trying to get attention? And so I think it stems from somebody maybe being like, she's just trying to get the attention, or like trying to get, I don't know, something out of saying that she's bisexual even though she's not, because of XYZ.
I think that's the misconception with bisexuality, right? Is that people are like, oh, well, they just don't know, or they're confused, or, I think there's a lot of judgments about bisexuality specifically. And I have such a hard time wrapping my head around that, because why can't it be both?
Correct. Why does it matter?
It just doesn't make any sense to me. And so, like, have you found yourself a part of communities of people who support you, who understand you? How open are you talking about your sexuality with family or friends? All of this, knowing that like community is a really big part of mental health.
I haven't told many people, to be honest, and not for any specific reason. I think part of it is more so like, I don't have to. I don't need to tell people. Like, it doesn't matter if people know, I guess, in my opinion. I do have some close friends, and a couple family members that know, mostly like siblings. I haven't told my parents or anything like that. I've been to like pride festivals, and those are kind of where I'm like, okay, like I feel comfortable here. I just don't know if I'm like, I think I still feel that maybe people in the LGBTQIA like would be like, are you really bisexual? Like, I think I'm just so nervous that everyone's going to be like, that's not real. So you can just get out of here kind of a thing. Like, so I haven't like joined any groups or like found any sort of support groups or community type things at this point.
Can I ask how long you've been identifying as bisexual? Like, is this a new label that you've been using?
Yes, probably the past maybe two-ish years. Feels pretty new and still kind of like, oh, I don't know.
Does the I don't know come from feeling like it wouldn't be understood by other people, or does it feel like I don't know because you really don't know?
I think it comes from other people. I definitely feel like I know that that's how I identify and that's how I feel. It's more so just the acceptance of the other people that is where it comes from.
I always think that the labels are so interesting when it comes to like gay, straight, lesbian, bi, like all of the things, because like you don't have to come out as straight, which
Right.
is like we just all assume that. And like, why does it matter? Like there's always this like misconception that like gay men are predators, and you know, like people like if they identify as being attracted to the same sex, like that they're like somehow inherently dangerous. And like I have no idea where that comes from because it's just so incorrect. I just like wonder what the world would be like if we didn't have to label people based on their sexuality. Like if we could just let people be who they are and love who they love or be attracted to who they're attracted to, like why does it matter?
Right.
If you're married to a man and also are interested in women, like who cares? That doesn't hurt me.
Right. Correct.
Doesn't even impact my
We'll
life.
just live our lives. Exactly.
Right. Like we could just do so many better things with all that energy rather than trying to like label and put people in boxes.
I agree 100%.
What do you think it would take for you to reach out to a community to like find your people?
I think telling more people might be helpful in getting the ball rolling, but I also think it's more of just like a band-aid type thing for me, which a lot of how I feel like I live my life is like just rip the band-aid off and just do it. And once I do it, I'm like, oh, that wasn't so bad, or something like that. So it's just like making the decision to be like, just do it. Just like it doesn't matter what people are going to say about it. I will be fine. My husband is fine with everything. Like everybody that is the most important to me will be fine. So like just rip the band-aid off and do it.
Do you have a worst case scenario in your head that you're afraid of?
Not really. I guess I haven't thought too much about that aspect. Just thinking about it at this point, I feel like my worst case scenario would just be like getting like crap from my like closer family, so like parents or grandparents type of thing. But and most of
Your
that
grandma,
I think
no.
be,
Your grandma who showed up to every single volleyball game ever in the history of ever, no. Grandma would be like, yeah, who cares? Whatever.
I mean, I hope so. I think, I don't know. It's just like sometimes I think things are said unintentionally and we don't, like, those people don't realize that what they're saying is hurtful, but it is. So
Yeah.
that's mostly like, it's the unintentional comments that you're like, okay, well, I don't think you meant it that way. So I'm going to try not to take that personally, but that did hurt my feelings. So
And you can't unsee when somebody's no longer a safe person, which really sucks.
correct. Yes. And I have several family members that feel, pretty safe to me. So if anybody were, I don't know, to say something, I'd be like, all right, well, there goes one. Like, I don't know.
You're coming on a podcast talking about your sexuality. Is this ripping the band-aid off? Like, are you going to like send this to people and be like, surprise?
Listen, and you can find something new out about me.
Your family would be like, oh my God, are you pregnant?
I'm going to say, take a listen and then text me in a week. Take a week to process your thoughts and then you can come talk to me.
How would it be for you if one of your parents didn't accept what you said? If they were one of those people who came out and said something hurtful, like you're just confused or that can't be true or you need to go talk to somebody?
I think it would be really hard. It's definitely, my parents are not the people I'm worried about, to be honest, just based off of my sister being part of the community. And I know how accepting my mom is. I'm not as worried about my parents as I am probably grandparents, but it would definitely be like really suck. I definitely don't think that they would be like, oh, you can't come to this, or like, we don't want you around, or anything like that. But it would take a lot, I think, to work through if they had an issue with it. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten more like, I don't really care what you think. You can be mad, you can, I don't know, have whatever feelings you want, and I just don't care. That's on you then to have those decisions, or like those feelings, and make whatever decisions based on that. And like, I'll be fine. I'm good with the people that are okay with it.
It's the best part about growing up, I think, is just like giving so many less fucks.
Correct. I agree. It's so fantastic.
Right. Like how much you care when you're in high school, college. Like I can't even imagine having that much like energy right now. The things I could do with the energy and confidence you have when you're 16, 17, 18. Like I could take over the world. Truly. Truly.
Yeah, it's wild. That's what I think about with the volleyball girls when they're talking about stuff. I'm like, oh my God, that is nothing. Like, that's not going to matter in 5 years. Like, all this stuff you're worried about.
Yeah, I would not go back for anything. No amount of money or nope. No.
I mean, I would enjoy not having to like wake up and go to work every day. That aspect is really nice of like being younger.
Yeah, but then you have to wake up and go to school every day.
Well, you could just be sick all the time, you know? I don't know. I'm just sick.
So I'm curious to talk to Jose about how you were feeling. Was that before you got married? Was that after you got married? I know you were married pretty recently, so I'm going to guess it was before, but
yeah, it was before. I definitely, when I like have to tell something that I'm really nervous about, I get really like smiley and giggly and all of that. So we were, I think, like folding laundry one day, and I was just like, so I have something to tell you, but like, it's not a big deal and it doesn't affect us. And like, it's fine. And he was just like, oh, okay. But like, we're good. And like, you still love me. And like, right. So like everything, I'm like, yeah, nothing's changed. It's something I think I've been like thinking about and trying to sort out and all of that. And he was like, okay, like, sounds good.
did he have questions about anything?
No, not really. I think I tend to sometimes be an oversharer. So I think I was like, I've never been with anybody. Or it's going to come off more of as like a curiosity thing because I've never been with anybody. But I just know that it's something that's more than just me being like curious. And so I think I just shared all of it. And so I don't know that there was many questions because it was like, I've never been with anybody. And like, I've just been on this journey for a while and I'm just still sorting it out in the fact of like, it's new, like I'm certain. So
I don't know how to phrase this question without sounding like an uber creep and super nosy, but I'm going to do it anyways. Does that feel like part of your journey to like be with a woman just to see what it's like?
no, I don't think so. I think I would feel less of a fraud. Like, like I would feel more validated in saying I'm bisexual, but I don't being married and knowing that like that would never happen. I just don't think it needs to happen. It's just more of like in my head of like, well, then I wouldn't be a fraud.
Do you feel like a fraud yourself or do you feel like a fraud when other people look at you?
Maybe a little both. More so other people. I guess the like feeling like a fraud myself is just feeling like I'm new to this, so I don't have a whole lot to go off of. Like other people hearing things or hearing this or seeing if I start, I don't know, like talking more about it and then them being like, well, no, like there's no way. Or yeah, I don't know.
Do you think that would influence how you feel if other people discounted what you were saying in terms of how much you believe yourself?
Probably because
Really?
I think I'm just somebody who's so I rely a lot on like validation.
We all do.
Yeah. And just like, I think I would have a hard time depending on the person. The other day I felt silly doing this, but I reached out to somebody who wasn't my sister, but a friend of mine that's in the community. And I was like, this is a really weird question. And I don't really know how to ask it, but I feel really comfortable talking to you. I've recently discovered and like am kind of coming out. I mean, coming out, I don't know if that's, I don't know, but I'm identified as being bisexual and I'm starting to talk about it a little bit more, but like I've never physically been with a woman. I've never dated a woman. And I feel like that's like that I'm a fraud. And she was like, absolutely not. Like, you know yourself better than anybody else. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter if you've physically been with somebody. She's like, you know what you know, and you know yourself better than anybody else. And so I felt really good knowing that somebody who, even though she's my friend, she's in the community and she was really supportive. So, and that just happened maybe a week ago before when I knew that I was coming on the podcast, and when I just felt like maybe I need a little validation before I go on here talking about being bisexual because I'm so new. And so that felt really good. And I was like, okay, I do know myself. You're right. And I am okay with like saying I'm bisexual, and I'm validated enough in myself. But I think I would have a hard time and start to question things. I don't know that I would be like, "Oh, never mind, I don't think I am bisexual." I just think I would have to do some self-reflection and just kind of like revalidate myself, maybe, is what it would be.
As you were talking, I was trying to think about like, okay, what's like an analogy that we could compare this to? Because I totally understand what you're saying and like how that would get in your head. And so I'm like, okay, what is something else that somebody could know that they believe, know that they feel, know to be true, but that they've never like had firsthand experience with? And like, I couldn't come up with anything aside from the fact of like, I think about the women who talk about like, oh, I don't enjoy sex. Like, I don't enjoy sex with my male partner. I don't enjoy sex. And it's always like, well, you know, you just must be doing it wrong. It's like, or like,
Yeah.
I just don't enjoy sex or I'm not attracted to my partner. Like, why aren't we asking more questions? Why is it always just like blame of like, you're doing something wrong? Or like, it's not
Correct.
this validation of like, yeah, like maybe sex doesn't feel good for your body. Like, it's always this judgment. And so like I get what you're saying, but I don't know how to convey that in a way that's
Yeah.
like with an analogy, which is how I like to communicate. And so like that's the best I got for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. I'll take that. As long as I know that you understand what I'm trying to get out here, that's good. Good for me.
I'm curious if you have been doing like tangible things to explore your sexuality, like if you've done therapy or reading books about people who've come out or things like that. Like, how have you been exploring your sexuality? How have you kind of come to the decision? Is it just self-reflection? What has that process looked like for you?
I unfortunately don't like to read books, so I'm not doing that. Um,
Not everybody likes to read books,
yeah.
and that's okay.
I would say it's mostly self-reflection. I haven't really talked about it in therapy. Otherwise, I think it's our day and age is a lot of the social media. So like seeing a
Mhm.
bunch of people, not a bunch of people, but seeing people come out, or seeing there was a couple women I think I've seen that have come out saying, you know, I am married, but I've also just realized or am figuring out that I am bisexual. And so just seeing those people and their stories, like the influencers on TikTok and Instagram and things like that, having that allow me to take a deeper dive into like myself, has been my probably the biggest way I've been doing the exploration.
You're a nanny, you work with kids. You've been somebody who's questioned things. I'm curious, like, is there anything that we could do to support youth in exploring these things when they're younger without like encouraging them to, the big thing that people are concerned about is like, you're going to turn them gay, you're going to make them,
Oh yeah.
whatever. But like, do you have any ideas for how we hold space for people without trying to force them into this tiny straight box?
I think the biggest thing is when kids see things, they see two women together and they're holding hands, or they're hugging, kissing, or two men or anything. It's just having a nice open conversation, obviously age appropriate,
Yep.
depending on where they're at. At work, it's a lot of everybody is a little bit different, right? And we all have
Mhm.
our own things, and it's okay to love whoever you want, and just holding the space and the aspect of like being able to be open and honest with them at their age level and not shying away or like making it sound like it's a bad thing. It's just like, yeah, they're holding hands and they love each other. Or like, I mean, I don't know what the conversation for sure looks like, but I know that when we talk at work, it's just everyone's different, and how these people are like, it's okay. It's just like who they are. And it's more of just okaying the conversations. Um, I like the kids' books. Like I've been trying to find younger kids' books about like the LGBTQIA community or plus community. And that's been really hard for me to find, but I've been wanting to introduce some of that to the kids because the family is really open about a lot of stuff. And we've done even books about race and different things like that, which has been really, really nice to have them just kind of read about that stuff and know that everyone's different and it's fine. Like we're all human beings. But
So part
yeah,
of it almost sounds like just like the natural exposure to different types of relationships of like, yeah, sometimes two women are together. Sometimes it's a man and a woman. Sometimes it's two men. Sometimes it's three people together, like all these different types
right,
of relationships and just having age appropriate conversations. Like it's not about describing in graphic detail
correct,
sexual acts to a 6-year-old,
correct.
which is like, this message that people put out there. Like, no, we're not like forcing 8 and 9-year-olds to like watch porn of like
No,
same sex people. Like,
correct.
ridiculous. Good
Isn't
grief.
this so beautiful?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh
like
my gosh.
Jesus. For Christmas, I think my sister's daughter got a book that was like, I think it's about like monsters or dinosaurs or something, but it's like this person has two mommies. This person has three or like two moms and two dads, and it's like just all those different relationship scenarios where I was like, this is so beautiful. Where did we find this? Like, I need this book.
Yes.
Like, so yeah, I would agree. Just a lot of the exposure to all the different relationships and keeping it the conversation age appropriate, I think is super important.
So I like to ask everybody, what would you say to the younger version of yourself who's starting to grapple with some of these things, who's starting to have some of these questions? I know you're kind of in it right now too. So what would you say to yourself? What would you say to someone else going through it right now as a way of support?
I think I would say it's really important to trust yourself and to trust feelings you're feeling, the thoughts that are going through your head, and to find somebody you can trust to be able to have conversations with when you're struggling or when you're unsure of things that are going on in your head. But I think the biggest thing is just to make sure that you're trusting yourself. Like you know yourself the best. So if these thoughts or concerns are coming through your body and your head, like they're there for a reason, and it's something you should definitely like sit and address and kind of reflect on. And the people that mean the most, or like the people that love you the most, will accept you no matter what.
Which segues great into my next question, which is how can the people who love and support you or love and support someone else who might be questioning or coming out, how can they show up? What are the things they can say? What are the things they can do to show their love and support?
I think for myself, the biggest thing that is important is just saying thank you for trusting me with this, or thank you for feeling like comfortable sharing something with me, and then saying like I love you no matter what, and I'm proud of the work that you've done to figure this out and to feel comfortable about it. Just continuing to show up for those people and not treating them any differently, like no matter what they come out to you about, just being like, okay, cool. And then just treating them the same as you were before is really important. Not like you're some wounded.
Something to be fixed or healed
Yeah.
or, whatever.
Yeah. Correct.
Well, Taylor, thank you for trusting me with all of this. And I think that you have a lot to be proud of. I know we've come a long way from being drunk in the back of cars in high school to where we are now. And so I just really appreciate you being willing to share your story, because I think this is a thing a lot of people grapple with, and it's a conversation that we need to have more often, and it's a conversation that older generations specifically need to hear about so they can show up and hold space for the younger generations who are more open-minded, because we don't need to fit into those tiny boxes.
No, not at all. I appreciate you letting me come on here to talk about it.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I know that the topics that we talk about on this podcast can be heavy and bring up a lot of emotions for people, and that's no reason to shy away from these conversations. If you're a fan of trying to get these conversations out to as many people as possible, I could use your help. Rating, reviewing, and subscribing to the podcast helps it reach more people. I always love to hear your feedback on the episodes that we put out and the topics that you want to hear more about. So head to www.redbirdcounseling.mn.com. From there, you can send me an email and join our online email community to get more updates about the podcast and everything happening mental health and Redbird Counseling. Be sure to also follow us on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok at Redbird Counseling MN, and Facebook Redbird Counseling MN 21. Until next time, remember, you're not alone, your story matters, be kind to yourself, and don't be afraid to color outside the lines.